Hello and welcome. I'm Radanelia,
And I'm Danielle.
and we've come together to flush out some common terms you may hear in the spiritual community, but not so common in the mainstream. So, we're just going to do some informal popcorn shares as to what these terms mean and how you can use them in your life. And today's term is download. Have you heard that?
So, Rada, in this community of like-minded spiritual community, you hear a lot about downloads, activations, and downloads. So, in your best just terminology that you could just think off the top of your head, what do you consider a download, and how is that something someone coming in that knows nothing about this could maybe recognize in their daily life?
Absolutely. So a download to me is really common. It's something that happens every day. But when I think about it in terms of an individual having something coming in, I think of the energy body and I think of the crown chakra. And I think of it as when you're more connected, when you keep connecting to that divine source as your place to come back to again and again. A download is something that it's almost like when you've created that. I mean, for us, like we do pillar activations every single day, right?
Right.
Almost. And
Yeah.
so we get downloads in those pillars of light activations, literally streams of consciousness that you tap into, and there is a download. Sometimes there's divine intervention. Certain people and geniuses will have downloads come to them, but really it's the divine kind of knocking on their door saying, hey, check this out, you know. So
Right.
it's more than just a coincidence when people has a download. I'll give you a prime example. When I started my healing practice over a decade ago in Hollywood Hills, and my mother and I had a house in Hollywood Hills called the Healing House. And I was just seeing women, and I was doing theta healing and different modalities and coaching, but I wasn't working with a goddess. I was I was working with a goddess when she would come in, but then she would come in more and more. And so I would often sit outside and I would just get these downloads. And then one day, goddess activations came into my consciousness like a download. It was a packet of information. And so when a download like that comes in, it's usually encoded with a lot of information, but it will start to dissolve into your system, into your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. And you will start to just get these aha moments like left and right. And you're going to be like, I need to write this down. So I was like, wow, goddess activations. I've never heard of that before. And was writing it down. And it became this modality that I created. But it could happen to anybody for any reason, like where should I go, where should I live, and you get a download into your consciousness like, you know what, I need to go to Bali, or I need to go to India, and this is what it feels like, this is what it looks like, this is why, because the universe is sort of tapping on our shoulders saying, hey, there's something for you here. And that could be many, many things. It could be a whole reactivation of yourself. It could be to find the love of your life. It could be to go on a spiritual vision quest. Whatever the reason, you'll know when you get a download because it will come to you as a packet of information. It's like a zing in your head. And people get them, innovators get them when they're creating something new, and they just get this zing. And it's like they have this vision, they have this knowing, they have this understanding of something that maybe it wasn't even presented to them before. Maybe a scientist will have this packet of information download into them, and it's this whole information that leads them to to inquire more about something, or it leads them to look in this direction, right? So it's leading you to part of your destiny. And so I think of downloads as a way of activating and elevating who we are, and really bringing us towards our soul mission. Do you think so, Danielle?
Yeah, I like how you're explaining this because, in a way, you are using a form of quote unquote intuition. However, everybody receives those hits of not, information, downloads, intuition differently. And I feel when it comes to downloads, you're in a place in most cases where your brain frequency is at a certain level. So it's almost like the more receptive you can be or
Mm.
tuned in, quote unquote, or have had an opportunity to kind of decompress. So if you go into nature or you meditate, I do, or paint, even for example, I've had a lot of things come to me when my mind has been very still. And so I do feel that downloads, the stronger you are able to allow yourself that time, I guess you would say, to kind of be in that space, you become more skilled even during the chaos of life. And a lot of people who are actively, in the spiritual community, even though you might see them on platforms talking or doing XYZ, they do take a lot of time in their day to really ground into their body, pray, meditate, go into nature. They soothe their soul in many ways. So I feel like if people are looking to receive more hits or downloads, one of the things that they could do is just tune in more. So I really enjoy how you express that because I definitely know that downloads are very much like aha, or at least for me, it's been a little bit more on the like instant aha moment, but more importantly, like lead me down a path to research. So it's like a word will pop in my head. And I'm like, what does this mean? And so I'll write it down, I'll do some research, and it brings into my awareness information I would have never gone down that rabbit hole. You know what I mean? So it could be even like that. So I don't think there's like different levels. I think it's just different for each person. And so I look forward to the day that I receive a download, so organically. And what do you think? Do you think chakras have a lot to do with being able to receive this information, like having more balanced, you know, and clear, crown chakra and everything? Or do you feel that I mean, I guess in a way it would be, but I'm wondering your thoughts on that because I do feel the chakras in a way, if they're blocked, it can kind of keep you from, receiving more hits of downloads. What do you think on that?
I think it's really important. I know that when I do more meditation, or when I was doing a lot more healing sessions, like every single day, I was actually getting a lot of downloads, and
Wow.
that's because I was also cleansing my whole self too every day, and I was in the theta frequency, and
Yeah.
so my
Hmm.
brainwave was already ready to receive more information. But I was, I think our crown is so important, our crown chakra, and that's why it's really important. So if anybody's like, well, I would like to receive a download, a divine download, um, you want to be mindful. You want to be mindful what you're watching, what kind of content you're putting into your crown chakra, into your mind, and into your
Right.
consciousness. You want to be mindful and be protective. Like I got rid of a TV, like I got rid of a TV a decade ago, and I haven't looked back since. And it was a large screen TV, and I just gave it to my gardener, and I was like, here you go, take it. And I feel like not watching a lot of programming has helped me to be able to receive more downloads. Another way is like, yeah, when we're in nature, when we put our feet onto the ground, when we're grounded into earth, and we also are open in our heart, in our mind, um, we can receive these downloads. So it is important to keep our vessel clean and clear. But say for example, like, Einstein or something like that, like he wasn't necessarily doing meditation maybe, or he wasn't doing energy healing, but he was probably in a theta state by just like the way his thought patterns when he was thinking, imagining, all of that. And so he would probably receive downloads into his consciousness, because he was really working with that frequency of um openness and receiving and looking. And I think a lot of researchers, like real researchers, because there's a lot of fake journalism right now, but real authentic researchers, they're like you, when you look, you get a hit off of a word, you research it, you keep looking, and you find more, and then the down, like it's almost like a whisper, like, look here, keep looking.
Right.
I think when even like in romantic relationships, like sometimes we can get a download of like what our relationship could be like what it could feel like, how it could be a next level for us, and those are downloads too, because we're imagining into the possibility, we're feeling into the energy, and then the universe, the divine is always working with us, and that's a thing we don't recognize day to day, don't you think, Danielle?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've never talked so extensively on the topic of download, but I do feel that it's a really important topic, and it will help expand you in different ways when you really sit down to look at, this topic. For example, like intuitively and just saw kind of more on the subconscious, I am aware of the importance of everything we're saying, but it's not common knowledge that we talk about. So I do think that this is important, and I think that the the community that a lot of us are already connected to use this so freely as a word, and I'm glad that we sat down and talked about this today, only because I know that downloads, as an outsider coming in, you could be like, what the heck is a download? Like, what does that even mean? But it's so different for everyone, but it's the same. There's a key component that I feel is the same for everyone, and it's that receptivity, the theta state, everything that you're mentioning. So I do think it's important. For me, I love to paint. So when I am painting, it does allow my mind to go into that space. It's very meditative. So I don't know, I would encourage anyone who, has their unique way, but to be open on how you receive it, because downloads could look different for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. And just this term also is like, we're downloading on our phone now, we're downloading
Mhm.
onto our computer. So in a sense, in the way that I was taught about energy healing when I first started, we are sort of like computers. We are programmable,
Yeah.
and we can take downloads into our consciousness, and they can be subconscious downloads. Um, so we want to be mindful too. What are we downloading into our life? Like when we turn on the TV, what are we downloading? When we read something, when we're tuning, we're downloading their information into us. And sometimes that's not necessarily for our highest best good. Like we start to take on their beliefs and judgments, because those are subconscious downloads, and those are negative downloads. So they're going to be both positive and negative, and I just wanted to share that.
Mm. Yeah,
um
thank you.
so part of the, in light of what we call deprogramming, you start to clear out the inverted downloads that are like, we'll talk about that further down the road, but there are inverted downloads that are not even people's beliefs, but they're downloaded into them, and they become their beliefs. So when we become discerning about what we are downloading into us, we have to recognize that we are the captain of our ship, and that we get to steer it, and we get to choose where we go and what we're letting into ourselves. You'll know the difference when it's divine. It feels like
Mhm.
heaven.
Yeah.
Get high off of a divine download, like literally your frequency will raise. You'll be like, wow, like anything is possible. You'll feel this expansive feeling. When you're getting a download, like you're watching too much of the news and it's retractive, it'll download into you and you'll feel like contracting. It's energy. So you'll know the difference. You have the right to be discerning. So be
Right.
about what you download into your mind, into your heart, and into your being, because you are the captain of your ship. Your body is your ship, your mind is your ship, your heart, your soul. So you have the right to say yes or no, and it's not something that happens to you if you're not open to it. So if you don't like something, you just say, nope, I am not willing to receive that download. If it feels divine and it feels right in your heart and your soul, then go ahead and take it in. Because I always say, yeah, I want to receive the highest downloads.
Yeah, and you know what? This is leading me to think of something that is unique for every person, because not all adults decide to have children, but the first 7 years are the most crucial time to program, quote unquote, your children, a child. And so a lot of the times you hear about inner child work, and it's so interesting how deeply rooted this topic can actually go. And I feel that a lot of the topics we will discuss, will be sound simple at first, but the truth is everything is so deeply rooted, and it's almost like it's truly like layers and layers and layers. So I would say, be patient with yourself. Do not have an expectation. Just allow it to flow, and be mindful of what you share. We are the adult, we're children, but we are now adults, and we have to be good stewards for the children we're raising. And I do feel that with a lot of the mainstream um, shares we're receiving online today, or even TV, music, etc., like it's incredibly interesting, the hidden messages. And again, that's a whole nother rabbit hole of mind control, but it's very, very, very important to be mindful of what you're listening to. And you can reprogram yourself. And I love listening to like audio at night sometimes that will, be on different topics to kind of just recalibrate, or, while you're sleeping. And it makes a huge difference, and you feel it in your body, and that's a messenger. So if you're the type of person that's like, oh, I'm not in touch with my feelings, or I don't feel it, what are you talking about? Again, be gentle with yourself, because there's so many layers. You do feel, it's just you're not tuned, you're so used to being not tuned into that. So there'll be a point where you start feeling it in unique ways. At least for me, I do feel a lot of heat in my body. Like I'll feel it in different parts of my body. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and it's a whole different rabbit hole even in that. But yeah, this is a topic that was very interesting for me, because I'm constantly hearing about it in this industry, and I know we talk a lot about downloads. So I just want to thank you, Rada, because you said everything so eloquently and pretty straightforward for the average person to understand, as far as what a download is.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, be discerning of your downloads and be open to receiving all the blessings too that are available to you, because there are so many incredible downloads that are streaming down to earth as more light hits us. And we are here to receive that is which is divine. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time, bye for now.